Hello and welcome to Get Decked, the video series where I make budget Magic the Gathering decks for your casual games night and to introduce friends and family members to the game. In this video we're going to do another Universes Beyond deck, this one based around the Fallout cards. So like the Space Marine one we had a couple of videos ago, I am decommandifying essentially a commander product into a 60 card constructed deck, so we're going to see how that turns out. So this deck is called Radicruel, it's black and green, and you can probably guess what the theme of it's going to be, based on the fact that I've said it's themed around the Fallout cards. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So let's just remind ourselves of the rules for Get Decked. These decks 60 cards, designed for 1v1 games. No format restrictions, although we are trying to use as many of the Fallout cards in this one as possible to stick to the Universes Beyond theme. Mostly commons and uncommons, no cards that cost more than $2 at time recording. Limit ourselves to 12 different non-land cards for a good mix of consistency and variety. Strong themes, low to mid complexity, and just because it's casual doesn't mean it has to be weak or bad. So let's take a quick look at the deck list. So we've got 24 creatures, 6 sorcery, 6 instants, 24 land. We've got a mana curve off to the side there. So before we start getting into the deck, we have to quickly explain one of the key mechanics it's using, which is radiation counters. So if you skipped over the Fallout Commander series, you might not know this, but yep, it was a thing in one of the in the precons that used radiation counters. So these are kind of like poison counters in the fact that players gain these. These don't go on, like creatures or whatever. So radiation counter means at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, if you have any radiation, actually this annoys me that the counter is called radiation, but like in the text, in all the rules text, it says rad counters. So it actually really annoys me, that inconsistency. If you have any rad counters, you mill that many cards, but for every non-land card you mill, you lose 1 life, and you also lose a rad counter as well. So yeah, we've actually kind of got like a bit of a mill deck going on here as well. And the Commander Precon where these cards are in was mostly it was about sort of symmetrical mill, but obviously giving you the benefits for milling your own stuff. So it was very black, green, blue kind of thing to do, very assaulti kind of thing to do, and then using the graveyard. This we kind of gone more, and we're just trying to mill the opponent more by using radiation, or just make their life a bit more complicated by using these radiation counters. So how are we winning? As I said, giving our opponent lots of radiation and kind of milling them out, but in a way it's the milling also causes life loss, so it's really sort of a mix of win conditions there. So anyway, we've got 3 feral ghouls, so 2 in the black for a 2/2 with menace. When another creature you control dies, you have a +1/+1 counter on feral ghoul, and when it dies, each opponent gains a number of rad counters equal to its power. So at the very minimum 2, but obviously could be a whole lot more depending how many of your things die. So yeah, I thought this was an okay start to the deck. We got 2 Screeching Scorchbeast, so 4 and double black for a 5/5 flying and menace, so like just nice big, scary flying creature anyway. When it attacks, every player gets 2 rad counters, which is nice because then it means your opponent's going to get hit by the rad counters first. And whenever 1 or more non-land cards are milled, you create that many 2/2 black zombie mutant creature tokens. So at the very minimum, this attacks, gives your opponent 2 rad counters. They mill 2 cards, potentially, mill 2 non-land cards. They lose their 2 life for losing 2 rad counters, and then you also make 2 zombie mutant creature tokens. So really, really good. Really pumps out a lot of value, the Screeching Scorchbeast. Really, really like it. As I say, and it is just a big 5/5 flyer as well, which is like a clock in its own right. So yeah, really, really nice creature. I really like it. And then we've got 4 glowing ones, so 2 in the green for a 2/2 with Death Touch. When it deals combat damage to a player, they get 4 rad counters, and whenever a player mills a non-land card, you gain 1 life. So, a real horrible no-win situation here, where like, do you block it and lose a creature because it's got Death Touch, or do you let it through, take 2 damage, and also get 4 rad counters, which is potentially going to cause more life loss because you're going to mill non-land cards, lose life to the radiation, and also gain. I'll gain life from you milling stuff because glowing one has that ability. So yeah, really, really like glowing one. I think it's really nice. It's at the very minimum, it's a 3 mana like 2/2 with Death Touch, right? Just that like essentially forces a block. So you could see it as a very, very janky type of removal, I suppose. Then we've got 3 bloatfly swarms, so 3 in the back for a 0/0 with flying. Enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. So again, like 4 mana just for a 5/5 flyer, I think is okay. If damage will be dealt to bloatfly swarm while it has +1/+1 counters on it, you prevent the damage. You remove that many +1/+1 counters from it. So the +1/+1 counters is essentially its life, essentially. And then you give each player, so you and your opponent, a rad counter for every +1/+1 counter removed this way. So again, really like sort of scary thing to like block or like attack into, I suppose. Because then it can block, just suck up a bunch of damage, and then dole out rad counters. Which again, you benefit more from your opponent having rad counters, and like you don't mind having rad counters, I think, as much in this deck. Because there are some recursion options, but yeah, again, it's just, and you've got to deal with it because it's a 5/5 flyer as well. So yeah, really like bloatfly swarm. And then 4 Infesting Radroach, 2 in the black for a 2/2 with flying, it can't block. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many rad counters. So again, like minimum of 2, I suppose. I can't remember, I don't think I've got any ways of here boosting power, but anyway, it does that. And then whenever an opponent mills a non-land card, which is fairly likely, given how many rad counters we're going to be kicking out in the deck, the Radroach can come back from your graveyard back into your hand, and then you just replay it again. So yeah, just really hard to keep it dead. And obviously it goes nicely because if you mill it yourself, obviously some of the effects you've got that give yourself rad counters, then again, it can come back. So yeah, really like this. And then these aren't technically Fallout cards, but like I think you can make an argument. Like you could do like some fun like alters for them if you know an artist or something. So 3 Vulture zombies. So 3 are black and a green for 3/3 with flying. Wherever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Vulture zombie. Obviously, we're milling them out with rad counters, so Vulture zombie is going to get really big. Yeah, so I thought that was in there. Again, there must be an altar out there. Someone must be doing like a Fallout themed Vulture zombie, because quite a lot of the Golgari cards were actually given sort of like Fallout themed art in the command deck, because there was, I think, Corpsejack Menace was one, and I think there was some other Golgari cards. So it was actually kind of surprising Vulture zombie wasn't included as well. And then 2 Dreadhounds, 4 and double black for a 6/6. When it ends the battlefield, you mill 3 cards. And whenever a creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from a library, that can be from anywhere from a library. It's not just yours. It's not just your opponent's. Each opponent loses 1 life. So we're sort of doubling up here on the radiation life loss, I suppose. So yeah, quite like Dreadhound here, just to support the milling and just have that clock tick down a bit quicker. So we're going to talk now about what helps us win. So ignore imagine these have all got Fallout art, because you could make arguments that these all sort of fit in terms of Fallout. You could easily imagine these having Fallout art. So 3 Adaptive Spore Singers, 2 in a green for a 2/2 with Vigilance. When it ends the battlefield, you choose one. You give a creature +2/+2 in Vigilance turn 10. I lied, so there we go. Something you could put on the Rad Roaches to increase their power. Or you Proliferate, and that's kind of why I wanted to put in here, like stuff with Proliferate, so we can give your opponent some radiation counters, and then it's a Proliferate effect, so you can give them then another one. But I really like Adaptive Spore Singer just because it is quite versatile. When you do it, can be a pump spell, or it can do the proliferate. It really depends what is what's the best choice at the time. 3 Unnatural Restorations, 1 in a green. You return a permanent from your graveyard to your hand, and then you proliferate. So this is quite nice. Also, I was just going to say on proliferate, also affects the rad counters, but also you've got quite a few things here that use +1/+1 counters as well, actually. So there we go, sort of doing a double duty. And also this helps get stuff back that we might mill ourselves to radiation, or even just our good creatures that die. And then 3 Another Chance, 2 in the black, you mill 2 cards, and then return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So yeah, I thought this was just a good sort of like recursion spell. Again, also the milling sort of helps us. We got some effects that care about us milling as well, or like it doesn't really matter if we mill. So yeah, thought it would be all right. Then we're going to talk about what stops them winning. So these are basically like removal options. So 3 Drowning Ichor, so 1 in the black. A creature gets -4/-4 to end turn, and you proliferate. So yeah, it's a really decent kill spell actually. Like for 2 to give -4/-4 is like really quite good, and then also tack on proliferate onto it as well is quite nice. And then 3 Putrefies, so 1 a black and green. Standard Putrefy, destroy an artifact or creature, and it can't be regenerated. This absolutely should be. I really wanted this to be the Atomize, which is just does everything I really want it to do. It hits non-land opponents and it proliferates, and it's just 1 more expensive. However, this falls very slightly out of the budget that we set ourselves. So rest assured, like it was so annoying when I was doing. So at time recording, this is I think slightly out of budget, but not by much, not by much. So depends how much wiggle room you want there and to replace. But I would absolutely put atomize in here instead of putrefy. And then quickly talk about the mana base. So it's 4 Temple of Malady, which it's a temple, so it scries when it enters the battlefield and adds black or green, so that's fine. And then 13 swamps and 7 forests. So what do you think about this deck? Do you think it's a good fitting tribute to the Fallout Commander set? I know that obviously there was 3 others, which I think all had quite like unique cool gimmicks. I know there's a whole NG one, which I think would have been fun to build around, but this is the one I want to do because I thought the radiation counts were a really cool mechanic, so I thought I'd build the deck around that. Do you like it? Are there any cards you saw like replace here? As I say, I really want to put Atomize in here. Are there any other of the Fallout radiation cards you think should go in here? I know there were quite a few in blue, but I didn't want to make it triple coloured. So definitely stick a comment down below if you've got any thoughts on this deck, or if you've got a friend who really likes Fallout and you think they'd enjoy playing this deck. Do let me know. But I'll be back next time with the last of these Universes Beyond decks. We're going to do one final trip back to Middle Earth to round out the series. So I hope you join me for that. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.